Suicide is a huge taboo. First of all, we don't talk about it. I remember even when I lost my dad, just telling people I had lost my dad, and then they said, well, people always ask, what killed him? Was he sick? Did he have an accident? Just saying suicide was like, don't talk about it and never say that. So there's you're mourning, and then you're going through this rebuke that you can't talk about it, you know. And then, so you can't talk about it. And then when you go back to the village, they don't do like the normal funeral. They bury the dead person at night. They buried my dad at 2 a.m. and we were not allowed to attend the funeral service, so we didn't know. They locked us out as in the house, and we didn't get to, you know, all the ceremonial things that people do, laying flowers and throwing the stone and actually witnessing the burial, because it helps in closure. So we didn't get to go through that. They locked us out in the house. They actually don't allow you to mourn. So the family is sidelined. You cannot go to functions, you cannot eat with people, you cannot talk with people. And for a long time, even now, many people remember that, and when they remember it, you realize people walk slowly out of your way. So that's how it was. And it was like, you know, my dad being this social, powerful person who had been helping people out, who had families. People want to come and mourn, but nobody was doing that. His friends, his colleagues at work, nobody came for the funeral. And then there was another thing also, is they give you herbs. They give you fresh, bitter herbs. And they in their traditional way of thinking is, when you drink the herbs, you separate your spirit from that person. And so that way it prevents more suicide. And now for someone like me going back home, finding this old drunk men who have some funny green stuff giving me to drink, and I don't even know what it is, and then they're forcing you to drink it, was another pain. 6 months after my dad was buried, there was a young man who committed suicide in the neighborhood, and it brought back everything. They were like, that spirit came from that family. So for the next other year again, the whole family was sidelined again. And then it was like, we are the ones who killed that young man. So it's a very painful, traumatizing event. Yeah.
And I'm a person who have lived with depression for 11 years now, since 2005. It was diagnosed correctly last year, that's 2016, as an ADHD, and I am under medication. So when I'm depressed, I lose hope in life, and I feel like I just want to take up my life. Everybody looks at me as an idiot, as a stupid person, as a person who wants to take their life, because they look at me and think that I'm having a normal condition, a mental condition. They don't know that I'm suffering. And one of the things that I'm trying, or we're trying to do as an organization, Befrienders, is to raise the awareness within the community and the society that mental health is a sickness just like any other: cancer, malaria, tuberculosis. And once you suffer that, there should be no discrimination. Mental health and suicide attempts is a stigma to all those societies, in actual fact even internationally. So it's not only in Kenya. And we do not have a correct theology for people who are going through that kind of a mental sickness, or people who have attempted suicide. So there's a lot of stigma. You're condemned, you're pushed away, because suicide attempt and suicide itself is perceived as a dogma in all communities. So there's no help coming forth, very little help, if any.
My experience with suicide has been a little bit tricky. It's been hard. It's been tough. It's a bit emotional because people don't understand what I go through to reach at that point where I feel suicide is the solution. And also, in most cases, people, you know, they just want to, when they hear I talk about suicide, they just want to, I mean, they push me into committing suicide, that they even give me options. When an LGBT person comes out and you realize, okay, when you come out, you expect support, you know, not too much criticism. Of course, that is one of anticipations, but sometimes it's just too much criticism, you know, attacks, death threats and all that, and it's really too much. And for somebody like me who is an activist, I take all the attack. I mean, there's so many LGBT who are not openly out there, so I end up being the one to carry the burden of the attack, and so it's too much. And sometimes I just feel like when they keep on saying I'll kill you, die, you know, I just feel like doing them a favor and doing it myself. So it really increases the depression and suicide thoughts. Yeah, especially when people abandon you and you just end up being alone. Yeah, so being alone really provides that space to think about suicide all the time. Yeah.